Hello, everyone. This is Mara Sievers, creator of Pilates Encyclopedia, and I'm here with Linda Brown of Completely Fit for Life from Auburn, California. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Sure. So we're here today to have an honest, open, authentic conversation about life as a Pilates instructor. You have just become a partner studio of the Pilates Encyclopedia Teacher Training Program, which is a hybrid program, meaning people can study online and they practice potentially at your studio.
Wonderful. I'm
Yeah,
excited about that.
very exciting. Yes.
Yeah.
So why don't you start by just introducing yourself real quick? How long have you been teaching? What do you offer at your studio? If there's any niche, anything like that, anything we need to know.
Okay. Well, I'm Linda Brown, and I have been teaching fitness and wellness for 42 years. That's a long time to be teaching. And I've been teaching reformer Pilates and mat Pilates for about 28 years. So I feel that the Pilates program, kind of as soon as it started up, I became a part of it. I think it just got to our industry, and within 4 or 5 months, I was all on board with that. So it was a fun new adventure, actually. And I'm in Auburn. I've had a studio in Folsom. I've had 2 studios running at the same time. I've had a studio with 7 instructors and 4 to 6 reformers, depending on which studio we were in. The business ran very strong for about 20 years. And about 3 years ago, I sold everything and decided to be an independent contractor and kind of branch out on my own with some other things. I'm a nutritionist as well, so I really wanted to get into the health aspect. But I ended up opening up my own little private studio here in Auburn again. And I probably just couldn't stay away from it. You know, I needed to have my own business that I could actually work with people one-on-one. And I'm finding, especially since 2020, I have found that people really need an understanding of health. They need an understanding of how to take care of their body. And Pilates, on the reformer especially, is amazing. It's an amazing tool for me to work with people. So what I mean by that is my niche, I guess you would say, is that as I watch someone move on the reformer, and I'm sure you do this too, but you're able to see their discrepancies. You're able to see where their imbalances are. Where is their body not in harmony? And I actually can pick up on maybe even an area where there might be some stored trauma in the body. And so the reformer is an excellent tool for that. So that's what I'm doing.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you've been in this since like the beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning. Wow.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, what are we all, how has it developed? Like, just maybe one, I know you can't tell the whole story, the whole length of it, but just, is there any way how you see the industry or how people perceive Pilates and what people know about Pilates, how that has changed from then to now?
Well, I know that in the beginning, obviously I was younger. I had a lot more vigor and I was super excited. And I kind of looked at the reformer as, oh, this apparatus that you can just climb all over and do all these things. And so, there was not really an understanding of how to activate the core and start from maybe a base. And it was more about getting on the reformer and treating it like it's this new piece of equipment. And of course, we did all kinds of things. and so that was great, that was fine. But as you know, you move forward, and the reformer really evolved for me as an instructor, and I've taught other instructors to become instructors as well. I have a program there too, but and I don't do that anymore, but I used to do that because you just couldn't find Pilates instructors
Mm.
anywhere. So with that in mind, we started with a base. And then all of a sudden you have this base, which teaches you how to engage your core, how to know how to engage the core, how to have that stability, what a pelvic floor even is, because I don't think we really understood that. And then moving from there and progressing, to maybe that next level. So I guess that would be, in a nutshell, that's how I have definitely seen this amazing piece of equipment transform.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly common, I guess, transition or transformation that people, teachers, not just teachers, practitioners too, but that we all make in Pilates. That first we look at the form and the external. And if you're fit and healthy, then yes, you want to try the hardest exercises, right? And you want to just play around.
Yes.
And then over time, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. You get to know the exercises on a much deeper level, which is actually then the foundation, right? It's so often we make our way backwards from the sort of hard exercises, and then as we learn them better, we end up at the easy exercises, which are not easy, but the
No.
foundational exercises, right? And then we build back up from there. So it's this cycle, sort of.
Absolutely. That actually, that's a great explanation, because we do think of the very beginning foundation as easy, but I've had people walk away so sore they could hardly move the next day with just the foundational exercises, and just getting them used to breath and getting them used to their own body and helping them connect in with their body. Honestly, I think that's key right there, is connecting in with your body. A lot of people, I'll ask them a question, how does that feel? Or where do you think you have, your biggest area of complaint or pain or whatever it might be? A lot of people don't know. They are really not in touch. So getting them acclimated to their own body, the reformer is the perfect tool for that.
Yeah, body awareness, right?
Absolutely.
Is that what you meant when you said that, especially in 2020, you realized that people have no concept of health? Is that maybe the body awareness what you meant, or is there other layers to that too?
I think, well, there's definitely other layers, but yes, I think people maybe all of a sudden thought, oh my gosh, am I healthy enough? What is my immune system? Maybe they had an idea of what that is. Am I in touch with my body? Am I strong? If I were to get a virus, can my body withstand that? I think there was a lot of fear. The good thing about that is that I think people all of a sudden started to wake up, to their health, and how can I take better care of my body and get stronger? And I don't care, and this, how old a person is. Honestly, I have worked on the reformer with people who have lost limbs. I have worked on the reformer with people who have multiple sclerosis or muscular dystrophy. I had a woman that came in to see me that could hardly walk. And all of a sudden, after 6 months of reformer Pilates with muscular dystrophy, she was back riding a bike. I'm amazed at this machine, and there's just so many options. And so I think that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I can imagine. When you're in this so deep, right? If you're like you too, like if you're spending your whole life moving and using your body like that, then it's so normal for you that sometimes it's hard to imagine how people feel in their body, or how disconnected people are who never move, right? And who are just living in their head.
Exactly, exactly. And I think I have tapped into that a couple times. I mean, I don't know about you if you've had any injuries, but then all of a sudden, if I've had to take any time off, which has happened just a couple times, and I have to give credit where credit is due, because doing Pilates has kept my body from actually having injuries. And because it's a total body workout, a total body awareness, starting from the very core and then working your way out. But I guess there have been times where I have been injured, just a few, and I've been off for maybe 4 weeks or 6 weeks to recover from my injury. And usually it might be sometimes from a bike access, cycling accident, you know. Um, then I come back and it is so difficult. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I think to myself, this is what my clients go through. This is what how they must feel. And so actually it was a good thing, you know.
Yeah, being having either physical limitations or going through an injury, I think I actually think it makes you a better teacher. First of all, it gives you empathy and sympathy. Like you've been there, you've been in their shoes, and you can remember that. That, you know, because it's an emotional aspect just as much as is as a physical. But also you have to then be creative. You have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do now? So I actually just had a knee injury skiing. I might have torn my ACL. And so I was like, as soon as I could, I was back on the reformer. And, you know, I obviously I had to think about, okay, how am I doing this now? You know, if I couldn't bend the knee in the beginning. And, but I did a full workout and it felt so great, especially when you know, I was limping, I was like favoring, you know, I was like, I couldn't put any weight on this one leg. So all of my weight was on my working knee, but that got so tired, you know, those constant compensations. So being able to lie down and put my legs in the straps, my thighs in the straps, and just move bilaterally and bring that balance back, and then stand up and like feel, oh wow, I'm good tired. I'm tired because my muscle have been working. It feels
Yeah.
so good, you know, and that helps you recover aside from the injured tissue in the knee, but my everything, my spirit, my emotions, my body, everything helps me recover. And I'm sure you've had this happen to you a million times in terms of how you just it reignited my love for Pilates. Not that I lost it, but it just, you feel it on such a, you know, firsthand experience again. Wow, I can't
Yeah.
believe how amazing it is, because you get used to it. Right after a while, you're like, yes, I know that this works.
Mhm.
But when you
Mhm.
experience it again on a first hand like that, it's just like, wow, I can't believe it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also think that just when you said, I mean, you can do anything, you can recover from injury. I think Joseph Pilates, honestly, I think that was part of maybe even the beginning of, you know, I really see him as the first physical therapist. And when he's looking at people who are ill, when he was ill, and then coming up with these ideas of using straps. And I do believe that he started off with bed sheets, you know, hooking them up and moving legs up and down. That motion and movement are key to our life. We have to keep our energy flowing. We have to keep the blood flowing and the fluid in our body flowing. And people do, they go into hospitals, and whether they have an injury, if they sit around, that is horrible for their recovery.
Mm.
And a lot of times people can, you know, not even recover because of that. So to have the opportunity to do motion and movement on a piece of equipment with an instructor who really understands how to use that piece of equipment. Not only that, I'm finding working one-on-one especially, that I'm really tapping into who the person is. And so you see the exercises, you know, I do, probably because I've been teaching for so long, but I actually see the exercises that are going to be best for them. And it could be an emotional trauma. And just because of the emotional trauma, then you have a whole set of exercises for them that do exactly what you just explained. So yeah, the reformer is mind, body. You know, in my business, it's called Completely Fit for Life, the number four, for your emotional, your mental, your physical, and your spiritual. And I think that the reformer activates all of those.
I love your name, the studio name. I love that you live fit for life, right? Or completely fit for life. It's exactly what it is. It
Mhm.
makes sure, with Pilates, you can just live your life fully. It's not about tearing you down or wearing you out or anything like that. It's about
Yeah.
building you up and helping you thrive. I love that.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
what's your favorite aspect of being a Pilates teacher?
Um, I I love my job. I really do. My favorite aspect of being a Pilates instructor is probably what I just explained, that I have finally found a piece of equipment that allows me to work with a person on a whole level. I know that might sound a little strange, but I get real excited when someone comes in to the studio and I get them on the reformer after I do, of course, a consultation with them. But I get them on the reformer, and all of a sudden I'm watching their body move. And it's amazing to me, the connection, what we manifest in our body, what happens in our body. Maybe our shoulders are super tight. Maybe our legs are not that strong. Maybe our neck is askew, off. Spine might be a little off. You can start to correct those things on the reformer. Um, you can't do that in the weight room. I mean, I know I've been teaching for a long time, and as a personal trainer in the weight room, group exercise instructor. I mean, you name it, I've done it. And I've stuck with this for almost 30 years because I'm in awe, so yeah.
Yeah, I can just agree to everything you're saying. Um, the awe and the ability to actually make changes and not just put up with it. I'm always surprised, but again, I've been doing this also for such a long time, or just using my body, moving my body for such a long time. But I'm always surprised when people think, oh, like I hear people say, I can't run because I'm bow-legged, or I can't, ski because I'm knock-kneed, or, all those things. And it's like, well, work on it, correct it. There's
Mm-hmm.
something you can do. And then like their eyes open, like, what? I can correct
Uh-huh.
that? And before
Yes.
anybody's going to complain, I know that there's a difference between functional knock knees and structural knock knees, and so on and so forth. So, but in a lot of people, it's just movement habits. It's just that they've developed this strange way of walking. Or I've had a bicyclist who always, like, his knee always went out to the side when he cycled, and
Right.
he didn't
Right.
walk like that. It was not his bones, but in his mind, it was like, okay, I'm bow-legged. And then, we worked it a little. It was like, look, your legs are straight. This is just a muscular imbalance that pulls your knee out to the side. So, but yes, that's a whole awareness level that most people don't have. And the fact that you can actually correct that is
Yeah.
mind blowing, right?
Yeah. Or even to help open up their mind. You brought up something very, very key. We are physiological. When our brain grabs a hold of thoughts that come into the mindset, and we grab a hold of those thoughts, when our brain grabs a hold of it, and we begin to process it and think about it and move with it, then all of a sudden there's a chemical drip in the body. I mean, this is just science. And that chemical drip goes down into our body. Our body reacts to that. If it doesn't match, I'm going to get a little technical here. If it doesn't match our DNA, if it's not matching who we really are, and what is actually embedded in us on a cellular level, then our body creates another chemical to try and balance that out. And so all of a sudden, you could be grabbing a hold of a mindset that actually starts to cripple the body a little bit. And that mindset could come from what someone else might have said. You know, you will never because your shoulders are too weak, or you will never because you're knock-kneed, or you will never, just like my muscular dystrophy client, you will never. Well, she went way beyond that, you know? So even if it shifts the mindset and you actually are able to do more things, that's exciting, because a prognosis can always be changed. And that is my motto. When people come in and they say, oh, you think you could really help me with this? I'm like, oh, sure, we can work on this. So I'm so confident in what the reformer has to offer and what I've seen people do, that and I don't see any, I'm sure there's other pieces of equipment out there that you could utilize in that way, but this one is it's really opened up my mind on how to work with people.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I totally agree what you said. I just had a thought. I think it might have slipped my mind about the mindset and the yes. So yes, I found it. So basically, when we can't promise somebody who's paralyzed to walk again, but we can always improve where they're at, right? We can always
Yeah.
work on it and see. It's hard to say, it's going to take you 6 months to be able to do this and this and this again. We don't know the how fast somebody progresses. It's not always you never know, but you can definitely work on it and improve it. And often, even though structurally something might not change, but you can adapt, and like I said, when you believe that you can do something, you will be able to do more than you can do now, and that already is a win, right? Even if the diagnosis doesn't change, but the fact that you trust yourself doing more, right, and don't limit yourself before it's even happening, sort of, right, and you gain trust and control over your body again, that can open up so many more possibilities for somebody.
Yes, because if you change your mindset, it definitely changes your emotions.
Yes.
And therefore, you do have a healthier outlook.
Yeah.
And I just look at us as instructors. We are hope carriers. We
Yes.
carry hope. And so, people have called me a Pollyanna. Awesome. I love that. I have no problems with that, because the success rate that I've had with clients with that more positive mindset is up in the 90s. And that amazes me. I don't think that one client, and you probably have watched this as well, they always walk out of the studio excited and happy and hopeful, so that's my job. So
I totally agree. I always say my only job right now, or the client's only job in this hour, is that you feel better at the end of the class or the session than when you came in. Because sometimes people, oh, I used to be able to do this, right? Either if it's an older client, they get frustrated at what they used to be able to do when they were younger and now they can't do it anymore. Or somebody, wants to get better, but then maybe they plateau, or they feel like they're not really increasing the number of repetitions or whatever, right? And you would say, just don't worry, your day, maybe you were really stressed out, maybe something happened, the body feels different every day, don't worry about it. As long as you feel better at the end of the session, you have won, right?
yes,
Because if you feel
yes.
worse at the end of a session, you've regressed even more. That doesn't make any sense. So if your body now needs more nurturing and less challenge, then we'll give it that, and it'll feel better, and it's ready for the next challenge after that.
Absolutely. I was so athletic in my 30s, 40s, and even 50s. I was really into marathon running, and I was really into century bike rides. And I just loved it. I had groups of people and it was so fun. I just loved it. But what I did is I took my body to the ledge and I would ride that ledge all the time because there was this addiction to, I don't know, it could be endorphins or whatever it might be, but to that feel of things. And I ended up with severe adrenal exhaustion. And it took me 6 years to recover. In that 6 year period of time, I really backed off on all my running and cycling. And all I did was Pilates. And I did mat Pilates, and I didn't even teach as much. I backed off from teaching because that can take a lot of energy from you as well. I had to revamp and rethink. So I walked through that myself. And at the end of that 6 year period, not only was I more recovered, and I have to be careful because we all have habits that can kind of step back into that. But I thought, wow, you don't have to beat yourself up in order to have low body fat and a sculpted body, and really, what is the most important thing? It is health. And health and wellness is about balance and harmony in the body. And so I don't know, I just learned a lot. And I think that through that, working with clients who are athletes, helping them to learn how to take their body down a notch. It's not just, for people who are average, who have no core or are trying to lose weight, which the reformer is a great weight loss piece of equipment as well. But it's more about that new mindset of, okay, I'm in it. And then as they do get stronger, maybe they do want to take on something that's, really huge. So I learned a lot working on this equipment.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so important to share these things too. Like people might think, sometimes actually teachers sometimes think, oh, I can't share the stuff that I'm not good at, or if I have injuries or anything like that. But that's the reality. We're not robots. Right. We're human beings who use our bodies, and we have challenges too. We're not perfect. No.
Right.
So normalizing and humanizing, I think, is a good important thing too.
Absolutely. Transparency is healthy. Yeah. Vulnerability is healthy, and it opens us up to freedom for sure. Yes. And I think being free to not have to be careful, with those things that you share or might share, I think you have no idea how it might speak to another person. So might as well be real.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So what is your least favorite part of being a Pilates teacher?
I think the least favorite part for me is I do have, I love helping people. And I see that it definitely is something that I'm able to do. And so I have a waiting list, to get in to see me. I'm not saying that from an egotistical standpoint. I'm saying that from that I can't reach, I'm not available. I can't teach all those hours. So, and I have to be very careful in monitoring my own schedule. And I'm trying to be very honoring of who I am and my body. So it's probably the least thing that I like about it. But I will say that what I have been learning is that to empower somebody else, I don't want people connected into me. So if I feel that I'm ready to release somebody and maybe they're going to continue to practice reformer Pilates, and a lot of my clients have purchased reformers, I'm not afraid of that in my business. And I want them to be able to stand up and on their own 2 feet and understand and take in and not think they have to plug into me, moving forward with their health and wellness journey. Maybe checking in, because it does take accountability, and it's nice to have a professional that you can come to. I think that, there's not too many least things that I feel about being an instructor. So.
Yes, I think teaching students to be independent is super important, not just
Mhm.
because it frees up your schedule. And by the way, I had a 6-month wait list at one point, so I know how it is when you're helping, when
Yeah.
you're actually helping people, when you're actually making a difference in people's
Yeah.
lives, then that happens. And you're only one person. You can only
Right.
teach so many people in so many classes. And I've also had burnout, so I that's what happens when you want to help everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you learn when you've had burnout at one point. Then you learn, nope, my energy is right now the most important thing, because if I don't have energy, I can't do anything, and I'm not happy, but I can't help anybody, right? So first things first, oxygen mask my own first, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Hmm.
But um where did my thought go right there? um I lost it. Oh my. At least, oh yes, just the independence. So it's super important to teach people independence, first of all, to free up your own schedule, but also because we're not walking around with them helping them correct their posture, or helping them, with their movement. They're on their own in their own body, so we have to teach them to be self-reliant and independent and take care of themselves. So yes, I fully support that too. I think it's important, and
Yeah,
we're not doing
absolutely.
enough of that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I do love, I have so many certifications with Pilates, and have taken so many workshops because there's so much out there you can learn from all these great master teachers. It's really fun. Um, there is that method or methodology of, what kind of Pilates you're doing. You can do a physical therapy rehab Pilates workout. You can do traditional Pilates on the reformer, which is very beautiful. And every time I say that, I think of Stott. I just think of even their reformer and the education that comes with that. And then I'll think of balanced body also. And I look at how well, in the very beginning, it was only balanced body. And in the very beginning, it was more physical therapy kind of an idea. And however, if you can take this and you can be with dancers, and you can take this and be with professional athletes, you can take this and be with someone who is ill or injured. You can take this and move with, like I said, people who are without limbs. Um, and so there's no, it's just a broad spectrum that you can really use with this method of working out. So,
Yes, I agree.
mhm.
Wonderful. What so I know you have a small home studio right now, but if you were to hire a teacher or mentor a teacher, what which Pilates skills, or also not Pilates skills, more softer skills, would you be looking for?
Um, well, I probably would take them through. Every time I bring someone on in the past, I trained all of the instructors that worked for me. However, they also had a base. They would have a base with Stott or Balanced Body or Peak or whatever it might be. And so that was great. That's great to have a foundation. But I would always take them through a whole weekend series. We would do all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And if I had to go into another weekend, I would. But I really wanted all of us to be in the same mindset, but not, but to have a varied teaching style and teaching skill set. So if one instructor might be really good at one thing, and then another instructor, so you would send clients off to whomever they would fit. But the number one thing to me is an understanding of a personal relationship with people. And that's number one. I just really feel that you have to be attentive paying attention and how you have a consultation with them, how you're moving with them. Are you really understanding what their need is? That's number one. And number two, of course, is understanding the base of the pelvic floor and the core and what that is. What are we doing? Why are we doing Pilates? Why is it so important to work the core? Why is this different than my personal trainer at the gym who mentions core? They might mention ab work, but they're really not talking about the understanding of the physiological makeup of our body. That's number two. And I think number three would be a person would begin to really feel comfortable and fluid in their teaching style. And however that is, but just be able to have that confidence that they could actually work with someone else. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and maybe one of the hardest things in the beginning, because right when you
Yes.
first start, you're like, oh my God, I feel like there's always so much more to know, and lack of
Yes.
confidence is, could be a common thing. But just you don't have to know everything. It's okay to say if you
Yeah.
don't know something, it's fine, and that alone can help you be more confident because you're just being open. Just what we said earlier about injuries and sharing anything that's going on honestly, not hiding anything that's going on for us, not necessarily oversharing, but just not
Right.
hiding it frees you up, right? Takes a weight off your shoulders and you feel you can be yourself. And the same thing when you're a new teacher, you can admit that people, clients can ultimately choose. And if there is a picky client and they want to only work with somebody with a lot of experience, then that's fine too. We can respect that. But there are plenty of clients out there who don't need you to have like 20 years of experience. They're fine with
Yes.
you, you might resonate with them on a personality level much more.
Yes.
So that's maybe why they choose to work with you, not because of your expertise. It depends on where somebody's coming from, right? So hopefully
Absolutely.
that'll help new teachers be a little bit more confident.
Yes. I think the great thing with new instructors, I think they have to be attracted to the reformer. They have to have definitely taken classes or that's one thing, but it is relational. It really is relational. And so if you have that, you can learn all the rest of it. Does this, you and I don't know everything with regard to Pilates either, because it continues on and on. Our industry that we're in grows over 500% a year. When I saw that statistic, I was amazed. And so how exciting for somebody to step in and just start off learning and not to be overwhelmed with, oh, I'm not there,
Mhm.
but to be excited that maybe they start off with 2 to 5 clients, and maybe some of them are friends, and they're really helping them to stay committed to health and that healthy journey. So that's all it really is.
Yes, and then
Mhm.
you learn from one client at a time. That's
Yes.
how you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So last question, what is one thing that you wish you had known before you became a Pilates teacher?
Um, One thing, um, I would say that, wow, that's a hard question. I've been doing this for so long. Um, I probably really don't know how to answer that question. What would I think that I would
I
need to
mean,
know or I would have learned?
the question honestly maybe implies a little bit of, is there anything negative that you would have liked to be prepared for? Maybe that's a better question. Is there anything that you felt unprepared for when you started to teach?
Well,
And
I
whole life.
let's go back to this. The great thing is that yes, remember what I said about the core and learning the fundamentals first. I that's probably it right there. Just knowing that, hopping on that reformer, and here's a new instructor with reformer Pilates, and just wanting to do all these great things on the reformer, which was fun. My clients loved it. However, we really did need to learn the fundamentals of the core. I wish that I had been taught that in the beginning, that there is, some levels. And I was not. And I probably taught that way for maybe the first 5 years. And then after that, I think I began to figure out, wow, we really need to kick into understanding the core a lot more. So probably that. I think maybe we
So
didn't know that in the beginning. So,
a lot of, yes, and I think a lot of science has been, um how do I say it, like, we've learned a lot about the
mhm,
human body in the last
yes,
40 years, right? So there's a lot that you might not have been taught at the beginning because we just didn't know. But also, a lot of teacher training programs often focus on the form of the exercise, right? All they teach is, um, move your right leg out, bring it in, stretch your left leg out, bring it in. That's sort of it. And I don't want to, I mean, I know that hopefully you learn more in a teacher training program, but the thing that we really teach is movement. We're not teaching exercises, we're teaching movement. And
yes,
the anatomy is often so short and so superficial. It's like, okay, here's your humerus and here's your femur, and but not how they're connected and not how they're moving the body. So right, that's the difference between form and function. Form is just where the limbs move through space, and function is how does that happen. And that
yes,
part is what I find is often missing in teacher training programs, which I hope I'm helping along a little bit. But you have to start with the function, or at least learn it at the same time, the function
yes,
and the form, because otherwise it's a little superficial. And ultimately, if you're curious, like you said, um or eager, you're hungry, you will get there.
yes.
It'll just take a little longer.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want the world to know? Anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you. This is really awesome that somebody takes the time to really help people to understand more about reformer Pilates, especially from an instructor's point of view. I hope that more and more instructors come in and learn, or people want to become instructors. That would be the key. We need more. We need more
We
great
need more.
instructors.
We need more good
Yes.
teachers. And just like we both shared, you have a wait list. I used to have a wait list. I sold my studio, but I had a wait list. When you're doing really good work, when you're really well trained, I'm gonna put that caveat there. If you're really well trained, then you will have work until the end of life, right? First of all, you
Yes.
can teach it until you're 100 years old. Second of
That's
all,
right.
your clients can be
Job
100 years
security.
old. So you can really, this is really, and it's so fulfilling. It's so rewarding. You can, so it's a wonderful, wonderful profession, but you have to be trained well. And I think there's some aspects about it, which we talked about, that people might not be prepared for, or be surprised by once they get into it. So I'm really, really hoping that this conversation and many others to follow will help shed some light on just what it's like, the good and the bad.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Yeah.
too, Linda, for taking the time. And
Yes.
so how can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Well, completelyfitforlife.com, completely fit the number 4 life.com. Certainly, they can email me through my website. Absolutely. And I do a lot of online training too. So they certainly can check in and see what I offer. I do offer a lot more than Reformer Pilates with regard to health. So, yeah, thank you.
Awesome, sure. And if anybody's interested in the Pilates Encyclopedia teacher training program, where it's a hybrid program, so you can study at home and then practice potentially at Linda's studio, then check out pilatesencyclopedia.com/teacher-training. All right,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you'd like to see more cool information, head over to pilatesencyclopedia.com. I'll see you next time.